Hey peoples, I've decided that after about a year of not posting anything on the main channel, and dealing with working the graveyard shift, writing a comic, releasing some music, and preparing for a friend's wedding, and now dealing with food poisoning, yeah, this is the perfect time to release a video about making a plush. That's right, 1 year after my homemade dolls Yeesh, it's been a bit. I will grant the wish of one, the Italian hater F5D, kind of. I say that because I think the Antepasta man wanted a doll, but they're getting a plushie, so take it or leave it, I guess. The plushie I'll be making is from the series called Five Nights at Freddy's, or more specifically, the seventh FNAF 6 Freddy Fazbears Pizza Simulator. This was a fun game from what I can tell. I have yet to play it, but I am excited to do so in the future. But enough about games I hope to play and such. It's about time to talk more about this franchise. Not the lore. Not that. Now, you may be asking, John, why did you start making these plushies?
No one's asking that.
Oh. Well, it all began with video games. I grew up in a Christian household enjoying gaming, although my older brother and I would be more into them than the rest of my family. I remember playing classics such as Sonic 2 on the Sega Genesis, as well as the Sega Mega Collection Plus, along with games like Sly Cooper and Bubble Bobble on the PS2. Lego Star Wars, the video game, on the original Xbox, and Super Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, and Banjo Kazooie on the Nintendo 64. In these games, I found an obsession, other than old video games and Mario: collecting. So many times I felt compelled to not just finish some of these games, but to complete them. With specific titles, I've done it multiple times. Playing these games over and over with a fine-tooth comb just to know it inside and out. Little did I know I was being trained to get every last thing to complete a set. Am I saying that collectathons were created so that you'd buy every last piece of merch relating to that IP? Well, I'm not saying it never crossed our minds. Fast forward a few years, now in middle school, waiting to get home and away from the sweaty seats of the gas-guzzling school limo and all the other loud, obnoxious people, when I see people gathering in the back of the bus. I snuck back there, since you weren't supposed to stand up on the bus, and peeked at what the commotion was all about. All I saw were 3 characters on a screen of someone's phone before my sister shooed me away, saying that it would scare me. It did, because all I saw was a bear, bunny, and a duck thing, and thought, man, those things look like my stuffed animals. Note that I was a strange little boy who still slept with a bear at this point in my life. So, yep, since I didn't know much about the game, and other than that it was scary, and that they were plush-looking things that would come after you, I didn't sleep well. For a few nights, then I forgot about it. This was until my older brother started playing the game on his tablet, and then we were hooked. Games, music, let's plays, theories, angry younger brother, because he was so annoyed, and rightfully so, because if I had to listen to those same stupid songs for about a year straight and I never got a break, I'd be a bit irritable with myself as well. Eventually, we lost interest and went back to our roots, digging up an old N64 or PS2 and started playing those things again. About 9 years later... Whoa! That's that long? Almost 11 years? Oh, wow. Anyways, about 9 years later, I get back into the games again, and then I think to myself, I'm gonna get some plushies. So the idea was to get the plushies that they would ideally sell inside the FNAF universe, that being the main four, and then I'd see how I would define in-universe by then. So it turns out I was very lenient with that meaning, because eventually I threw all that out and it became just collect the plushies if you like them. Eventually I came to the 6th game and collected those ones, and there's a few missing. I wasn't talking about Scrap Trap or Scrap Baby or Molten Fred. No. I was talking about my boys, Ned Bear, Rockstar Bonnie, and my girl, Rockstar Chica. I looked for them online, and all I could find were homemade ones and images on the internet. So I devised myself a plan to make them myself, and I started with Ned Bear. First, I would need a pattern, and I found one by someone on Etsy called WHITTYKITTYART. While I ended up not going through fully with their pattern, they were what got me started, so I think I'll leave a link in the description to show my thanks for helping me understand patterns. Then I made Rockstar Bonnie, basing my pattern on their pattern as well. I finished Bonnie and took a break from sewing these things. Anyways, a few months rolled by and there's an event coming up where I'm going to see my friends, and I wanted to show them these plushies, and I figured it would be a great excuse to do them if I made a video on it. So here we are. Hiya folks, my name is John, and if you're looking for tiny nerdy things, then you're on the wrong channel. But if you're looking for something that's good enough, then stick around, because it's gonna be just that. First, I'll show you some things that I used to make this in the process easier for myself. One such thing is a pattern for these pieces I'll need to use to trace these shapes onto the fabric. Speaking of, first color up is yellow. This will be the material I will use the most of, since this is her primary color. Now I'll take the pieces of paper and place them on the fabric accordingly to get the most of the fabric. Tracing the pattern onto the fabric will make sure that I'm not only cutting the right pieces, but will also keep the pieces as precise as possible and make things much faster. Maybe just don't use green for the tracing on yellow fabrics. Maybe gold would have been better in retrospect. Now that I'm finished tracing the pieces for the yellow fabric, I'll go ahead and move on to the next step. For this part, I'd like to get my tins of treats out and get a nice pair of scissors to cut the pieces. If you ever start your own project like this, don't rush it. Take your time cutting out the pieces. If it helps to relieve your conscience, the plushie won't be hurt by you wanting to take more time to bring it into the world. The next color I will do will be orange. Now it's not going to take as much time as yellow because, well, there's not as much orange to be put onto the plushie, but you know what? Let's see how fast I can do this. Oh. Well, okay then. Before we move on to any new colors, let's go back to yellow, but change the fabric to a felt rather than a plush for her head feathers. A simple pointed clover shape is what we're aiming for, like so. Up next we have an interesting change of fabric into a sort of purple velvet. This will be used for her accents such as her knees, cheeks, and eyelids. But in order to get the eyelids, we're going to need some nice eyeballs. Now the eyeballs are simple. You'll need 2 circles of white plush material in which you will take a sliver of a crescent off the top where the eyelids will be attached. And while we're at it, I'll go ahead and prep the kneecaps for the legs so that I don't have to think about that later. And I forgot the ends of the arms and legs, so I'll go ahead and cut those out at this time. I seem to have misplaced my patterns though, so I think I can just freehand them. It'll be fine. Going back to the eyes, we have black for the eyebrows. Now the bib I made quite some time ago and I think it turned out really good. The shape, I mean. The design I actually ordered on Etsy again. It's actually a custom quilt patch made by a user called SWEETONSTITCHESETSY. I'll also leave a description and a link for their product. Note, this video is not sponsored by anyone in any way, shape, or form. Alright, back to the video. It's time to get my tins back out for this time, and I'll go ahead and grab a piece of thread, or several. For this I'll be using yellow, purple, orange, white, and black, respectively. Oh, and there's needles. And the other scissors. Why do I have 2 scissors for sewing? Anyways, when threading the needle, I would recommend using one of these thingies for beginners so you're not struggling for a few minutes trying to thread your own needle. Now, I'll sew these pieces together to get the leg to save on time. When I need to do 2 of a part, I'll record myself sewing one and it's implied that the other is mirrored. And with that, I finished the leg. Ah, crap. So, now that I've realized how much I have to do, I better get going on that next part. That being the foot of the leg. So I'll go ahead and start on... Wait a minute. After recutting new feet for the plush, we'll go ahead and continue where I left off, now that the foot is the right size. Look at them tootsies. Next, I'll move on to the body. This one is simple enough. The only annoying part is needing to retie knots after sewing for about 10 seconds due to the fabric pieces touching for only about a finger or thumb length. And while I'm at it, I'll go ahead and sew that bib on. Two touches. Go ahead and attach the legs onto the body. The best way of doing this is to line them up and make sure that they're in the proper place, then turn everything inside out and sew them on. Note, it's easier to line them up one at a time. This also works for the arms when attaching those. Speaking of which, time for the nubs that I call arms. I have messed these up on a different plush where I sewed them on wrong, making them too thin. So you want to sew them really long. Make a sub, not a burger. Now that the arms are finished, I'll go ahead and attach those to the body similar to how I did the legs. And while I'm at it, I'll go ahead and stuff this chicken. Now for the eyes and attaching the lid to them. After deciding adding the eye rings onto the plush, like the other Funko plushies from the same game, was going to be too much of a hassle, I went straight to fixing the eyes into the head. The positioning of the eyes are very important to line up due to there being eyelids, but as long as you can get the general idea of the placement, it should look fine, if not good. Speaking of adding to the face, it's time for the beak. This is a simple enough shape to sew, so no hassle there. This part was actually fairly easy. The eyebrows are more difficult due to their small size and thin shape. You have to be very careful to properly set these up or they will not look good. And there you have it, the face of Chica. I think it turned out well. I'll go ahead and sew up the back of the head. Right before I make my life harder by sewing the eye patches on later, I'll go ahead and do that now while there's still easy access to the inside of the head. Actually, I made these patches myself. I used an iron-on patch that I cut circles out of and a lot of thread. Very time-consuming. Embroidery, who knew? Now that I have the patches in place, I'll sew the head together. We're finally in the home stretch and I can't wait to see how good this head will look. What did I make? She looks like Megamind's sister or something. After stuffing her head, I'll sew her into shape until I'm satisfied with how she looks. That's all I can say about this part. Not too much of a process other than, does she look good? Yeah, that'll do. And once she's a ball, once she's a ball, I'll add her head feathers and finish my Angry Bird OC. Also, I forgot about the back part of the bib, so I'll add that on now. The final stretch, joining the head and body. I can't mess this up now. or else I'll have to start all over on adding the head onto the... I'm not redoing this whole plushie. And she's finished. I'm happy with how she turned out. Very cute. She does match the others I've made in quality. Very squishable. Speaking of which, I'll go ahead and display them all here. We have Rockstar Chica, Rockstar Bonnie, and Ned Bear all here. Tell you what. Let's go ahead and talk about them, starting with Ned Bear. Yes, there's an actual spring in Ned Bear's hat, which reminds me of one of those old door stopper spring thingies. You know, that prevent the door from hitting the wall. They can go, you know. Anyways. He has a red gridded tie, and as you can see, this is the plushie I messed the arms up on. They're fine, it just looks a little weird. Am I gonna fix them? Probably not, but this will be sitting on a shelf with a bunch of other plushies, so I'm not too worried about it. I used to have his nose upside down, but I thought for consistency with the other plushies, I'd just change it to make it look like this. Next up, we have Rockstar Bonnie. The ears have cardboard in them to make sure they retain their shape. For the bow tie, that's actually plush material inside out. I've got the arms on right on this one, and they're quite chunky. He has the pink accents for his knees, cheeks, and eyelids, and has 2 shiny star buttons. I was gonna do them sewn in, but I thought I'd give myself a break and not torture my hands. But I think this was the way to go since they look really great. Finally, we have Rockstar Chica strutting her stuff. Oh, the camera just... There we go. Anyways, yeah. The purple is a nice velvet texture, very smooth. I think this one turned out lovely, especially due to me having a phone in front of my face the whole time. I kind of like the fact that her head feathers are malleable, which makes styling it easier. Yeah, not too much to add about other than what I've said about her. I like it. I think that's enough talking about them, and I'll just let you take a closer look at them. here they are in the collection. I like that they fit pretty nicely to the point that you wouldn't bat an eye at their inclusion unless you looked really close. Well, maybe Ned Bear stands out a bit, but I think it still works. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you another time. Take care of yourselves. Bye!